Okay, in the last video, we learned how to add and subtract fractions using algorithm. And we know that when we add and subtract fractions, we have to have a common denominator. Same rules apply with mixed numbers. You still have to have a common denominator. So let's say I have 3 1/3 plus 2 4/5. Remember what I said? Same rules apply. I have to take this 5 and multiply it here and here. And I have to take this 3 and multiply it here and here. Here's the only difference. These whole numbers, they just drop down. And then I just have a new fraction. Okay, I don't change those. 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15. 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 3 is 15. When I look, are my denominators now the same? Yes, they are. That means I can add across. So I'm going to do my whole numbers first. 3 plus 2 is 5. Then I have 12 plus 5, which is 17, over my denominator is 15. When I look at this fraction, I realize that it is improper, meaning that 15 is less than that 17. So I need to make that proper. So I say, how many times does 15 go into 17? And I know it goes in 1 time with a remainder of 2. Here's where we really have to pay attention. I had the whole number of 5, and I have another whole number of 1. I need to add those whole numbers together. So 5 plus 1 is 6. That's my whole number. Whatever's left over is my numerator. That's 2. And my denominator doesn't change. It remains at 15. And I do not have a number that goes into each of them evenly. So that is my answer, 6 2/15. And it's important that we remember that we had to make sure our denominators were the same. Okay? Let's try one with subtraction. Okay? Let's try 5 1/4 minus 2 3/5. Okay, let's see what happens here. I have to get my denominators the same, so I'm going to multiply by 5, multiply by 5. I'm going to multiply by 4, multiply by 4. And remember what I said, the whole numbers don't change. So I bring that 5 down. 1 times 5 is 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Minus, I bring my whole number down. 3 times 4 is 12. 5 times 4 is 20. So when I look, I've gotten my denominators the same. So I can go ahead and subtract across. But when I look here, I notice that I can't take 12 from 5. That won't work. So I have to borrow from this whole number. Okay? I cannot take 12 from 5. So this 5 becomes a 4. Okay? And I take whatever my denominator is, and I add it to my numerator. Okay? So I borrowed from the whole number. I took the denominator and added it to my numerator. So now I'm going to have another new fraction. My whole number is no longer 5. Now it's 4. My numerator is no longer 5. Now it's 25. My denominator stays at 20. And this fraction I didn't change at all. So I pull it straight down. Now, if you look here, you know that this is an improper fraction, but that's okay. We had to make it improper so that we could subtract. All right? So now I can go ahead and I can subtract across. 4 minus 2 is 2, okay? and then I can continue subtracting across, and I would do 25 minus 12. I would get 13, and then my denominator doesn't change. Is there any number that goes into either one of those evenly? There is not. So my final answer is 2 and 13/20. So you may come across a problem here where you have to borrow from the whole number. That could happen. Now, if this was 12 and that was 5, I would have been fine. Okay? So make sure you remember how to do this, and always remember that your denominators have to be the same. All right, continue practicing.